All right. As I mentioned on the message this morning, I noticed that many of us had joined this particular Gita Yagya almost by the end or the middle of second chapter, and I realized that the first chapter actually had not been done by at least those members who are in this particular group. So I thought it may be a good idea and a good place to be on chapter 1. So if you don't mind, we are going to begin with how the battleground was set. What is the background that set the entire Gita into motion? So there is a background to it, otherwise the learning doesn't have a context. And therefore we begin with Srimad Bhagavad Gita Atha Prathamodhyayah. We won't have time to read all the verses, but the highlights. अथ प्रथमोऽध्यायः धृतराष्ट्र उवाच धर्मक्षेत्रे कुरुक्षेत्रे समवेतायुयुत्सवः मामका पाण्डवाश्चैव किमकुर्वत संजय. All that he is asking is asking Sanjay, now in Dharmakshetra and Kurukshetra, what is actually happening? Naturally, war will happen if they are on the war front, isn't it? Why is he asking what are they doing? They haven't gone there for a picnic. So, if war is happening, what is it he actually wants to know? He actually wants to know, and the word he uses is Mamaka Pandavaschaiva. First he says, my sons, tell me about my sons, and then tell me about Pandu's sons. You can see very clearly where Dhritarashtra's heart lies, and his attachment and his moha and his delusion has been the seed of the entire battle anyway. So we are not it's not new for us to see Dhritarashtra behaving like this in the very first verse, saying Mamaka, tell me about my sons, how they are faring in the battle. He's asking whom? You know the background, Sanjay, who has got Divya Drishti, and he is the war correspondent for this battle, and he is seated in Hastinapur, not in Kurukshetra. Because he's got Divya Drishti, he can relate the events. Now, Dhritarashtra, first of all, he had been offered by Krishna. He said, if you want, you can see the battle. I will give you Divya Drishti. And do you know, Dhritarashtra, who was born blind, he had actually, a blind man offered sight and he had refused. Can you believe why? It is possible he refused the sight because he himself couldn't have faced the horror of the war which he had unleashed onto Hastinapur. And therefore, out of fear, very often when we act out of fear, first of all, why are we fearful? When we are wrong, we have done something wrong, we have not been on the side of dharma, there will be fear. Try lying about a very small thing which seems innocuous, totally harmless, and try lying about it and see the restlessness of your mind. See the fear that that person shouldn't come to know that I have lied about buying my jewelry at the high street when actually I bought my wedding jewelry in the local store or some such useless thing. But even that will bother you because the next time you're facing those people to whom you have lied, there will be fear subconsciously in your mind, and that fear is going to create this kind of agitation and restlessness. Why am I always talking about the mind's agitation and restlessness? Because that is the only barrier between you and God. When our mind is involved in the sansar and in acquiring something or the other, or in the trishna, that is the kamana or the spruha. Spruha is feeling a lack of something, kamana is having a desire for something, and trishna is having more of something you already have. These are all forms of desire. If your mind is in desire, we are going to talk of all the characters of Mahabharata. That is what keeps you away from Krishna. Why is it that when Krishna was approached by Duryodhan and Arjun equally, and Krishna would have offered any one of them what they had desired first. Arjun got the first choice, and between God and the army of God, you know, Narayani army was the army commanded by Krishna. Arjun said, no, God, that is Krishna, you be on my side, because of course then I can't have the army can go to Duryodhan. Duryodhan was thrilled. You know, Arjun has chosen God over materialism. This is symbolic, of course, and a lot of other things are symbolic in Mahabharata. He has chosen God, and he is quite confident, although Krishna said to him, look Arjun, I will be on your side, but be warned, I am not going to raise a weapon. I am not going to raise a single weapon. I'm just going to be with you. And you are the commander. I'm only your charioteer. Wherever you tell me, I will lead your chariot. I'm your servant, your driver, your charioteer. Are you still willing to have me on your side, doing nothing for the battle? Arjun's Shraddha and confidence was, there was not a moment of hesitation. God is God. Do you think Duryodhan did not know that Krishna is an avatar and he is a god and he can do anything? Duryodhan knew that. He also knew about the nature of Krishna's true nature, that is, he is an avatar in human form. But he still did not choose God. What is that barrier in our lives that stops us from reaching out, even though, first of all, getting Shraddha, first of all, knowing about that highest truth, that there is a higher consciousness, there is a God, there is this power in the world. That knowledge itself is rare. Duryodhan had that knowledge that Krishna is God. Even when we have that knowledge, we don't have Shraddha. Second obstacle. We don't have this unwavering faith that that consciousness is my only true nature and it is that Paramatma. So it's not Paramatma and Atma, it is actually Advaita. It's united as one. That Shraddha has to be there. Why Shraddha? Because it is only knowledge. I cannot sense it with my senses as to where is Paramatma, where is my Atma. I can't sense any of it. But that Shraddha has to be held tight, that there is a power, there is a Paramatma. Now Arjun had that Shraddha. So first, get the knowledge at least. Some people don't have it. When they have it, they are like Duryodhan. They don't have Shraddha. When they have Shraddha, only then God will protect you. Because that is his promise. Krishna's promise is, I will be with you, and do not doubt it. Where God is, there is dharma. Wherever God is, there is dharma. What is the doubt about it? There is no doubt about that. But see how people make their choices. So let's see the scenario. Maybe I will go a little later to several 100 years before the Mahabharata and go to the grandparents of Duryodhan, where this whole canker of the human personality started. I will go back to that story of Shantanu and Satyavati. If you forgotten it, I will have to revise it. Having complete Shraddha or belief that yes, there is a higher power. I may not know its form because it is Nirgun, Nirakar, and at the same time holding on to it with your dear life. That is called Bhakti. Bhakti is total surrender, total belief and total love. If we are not capable of that, then Bhagwan of course has many other methods. But first of all, we are still on the battleground. First of all, why is the first word called Dharmakshetre Kurukshetre? Why is it Kurukshetra? Okay, so it is a piece of land. It is in modern Haryana. It is adjoining Delhi right now. But why is it called Dharmakshetra? Because this Kurukshetra land is also called Dharmakshetra, which means sacred land. Sacred land, why? Because it is believed that there were many rishis, including Pandu, Dhritarashtra's brother, who had done many yagyas, many sacrifices and many religious sacrifices and yagyas on that pavitra land. So it became a sacred land, which means that it had a vibration of sacredness, of divinity. You know that when certain mantras are chanted, mantra are like magic vibrations, and now the Germans are doing research on these vibrations. You know that very well. The science is trying to find out what are these vibrations which emanate from the mantra, which have an impact on the quality of mind and which have an impact on the environment. Science is a bit many thousand years late into this, but believe me, the rishis knew about the power of sound vibration. So the mantras were conducted in that fashion, and with thousands of years of mantra ucharan and havan and prayers on that land, it had become a holy land, dharma kshetra. And it is also believed that river Saraswati used to flow through that land. And you know later that Saraswati went underground. Okay, but have you noticed that if you enter any old church or mandir or masjid or gurudwara, and the moment you enter in some of these very ancient ones, you will find that there is a vibration that quietens your mind. And you don't know why. You just gone to, with a friend to a masjid or girjaghar or gurudwara or mandir, and there is this silence which descends upon you. Believe me, it is the same principle of many minds having gone to that same spot with a cleansing of the mind. Nobody goes to a mandir, masjid, gurudwara with a sense of hatred and revenge, and actually at the doorstep, even for a few minutes, they leave their asuri pravritti, jisko kehte hain na, that opposite of daivik pravritti, which means they leave their ashuddhiya of the mind, the devilish urges and instincts and emotions. Of course, we all go through it, this hurt and anger and revenge and jealousy and envy. For a few minutes, we leave it behind. We enter, we bow in reverence. And in bowing, we are actually surrendering the ego. With so many thousands of years of people surrendering their ego and going there to cleanse their mind and just to pray and the mind is cleansed with prayer, because then you are holding only the prayer and one thought of divinity in your mind, even if it's for 1 minute or 15 minutes, and then you come out and you are back in sansar. But imagine thousands of years of visitors coming with that mind vibration, the thought vibration, and thought vibrations are real things. That's also proved by science, because when they put sensors on the top of the head, they could see that every thought which occurs on the brain, there is one spark, or let's call it a neuron dash across the brain. So there is one neuron, electrical neuron, which is born every time a thought is born. And a neuron actually is material, it's matter. So what is the conclusion? Thoughts are things. So be careful what you think and for how long you hold that thought. क्योंकि आपके पास अगर कोई एक ख्याल आता है, वो इरादा बन जाता है, उस इरादे पर हम उसको we turn it into a manifested action, उसको जाहिर कर देते हैं और वो आपकी शख्सियत बन जाता है. These 4 words that I have taken, that is your ख्याल, इरादा, जाहिर and शख्सियत, is from Sufism, Sufi Islam. But it is exactly the same. Truth cannot change whether you use any language or don't use the language. So it is the same thing. One thought held in the mind is triggering off a chain of reactions in your mind. It triggers an irada, a desire, ki chalo ye karte hain, and that desire changes into action because you want to materialize that irada or desire. And having practiced that irada or that zahir action for a long time, it becomes your shakhsiyat, your personality. So your personality, as we are going to see much later in Gita, becomes either sattvic or rajasic or tamasic according to your own thought impulses. So here we are talking about Dharma Kshetra, and that is where the thought impulses of beautiful mantras and havans had been chanted, and it was indeed a holy land. And Dhritarashtra wants to know, probably, so if this is a Dharma Kshetra, are they fighting or are they praying? Because when we go into these holy places, our minds are silenced. They become shant. So he is afraid. कोई शांत तो नहीं हो गए सब लोग वहाँ पर कि battle हो रही है, क्या हो रहा है? Anyway, that's just an aside. Now, what is the central message of the Gita? The central message, of course, is that there is Aikyam. There is only one infinite consciousness. Where is it? It powers everyone. It is the power behind everyone and everything. I have given the example of electricity so many times that now I want to talk about Wi-Fi. Wi-Fi is powering your device, but Wi-Fi doesn't really care what kind of device. Are you using a cheap device or an expensive one? Wi-Fi doesn't care. What kind of content are you watching on your device? Through your Wi-Fi, you may be listening to Gita, or you may be watching some Saas Bahu serial or some Bollywood dances. Wi-Fi doesn't care. Its job is only to power it. And therefore the connection of this jiva, the jiva is the body of your device. Our body is a device. Without electricity and without Wi-Fi, it is non-functional. Therefore we call it a dead body. The organs are still there, the eyes are still there, the nose and ears are still there, but I cannot hear or smell or see. Organs are still there. Organs are inert. They are gross. They are sthula, and they are totally insentient, inert. What are we doing with this device? So we have to connect. We are connected with Wi-Fi, and therefore we are functioning. Is the Wi-Fi different in the device that you are using right now and the one I am using? And you can see we are connected. We are 14 of us connected to each other. But what is the difference in the quality of the Wi-Fi that you are using and the one I am using? Apart from the speed, of course. So it cannot be different, because the function of Wi-Fi is only one, to give you that power so that you can connect, and the consciousness is only one. Therefore, all bodies, whether they are your Rakib, or they are your friends, or they are your जो भी हो आपके lovers हैं या enemies हैं, they are actually powered by the same consciousness. Aikyam Advaita. This is the philosophy of one infinite, and that is called Advaita philosophy. Okay. What is the other thing about Gita? It is universal. It is not meant for a particular sect or group or religion or country or age. कि ये 6000 years पहले relevant था और आज relevant नहीं है. It has nothing to do with geography or with काल or देश. That means time or space. It is just universal. I'm not saying Gita is universal. Gita, of course, is just a material manifestation of, it's just an expression of that truth. Actually, that truth is universal. That one Aikyam. And every religion believes in it. Every single religion, in different expressions. They express it differently. Truth cannot be two. It's like saying that water boils in my house at 10 degrees and it boils in your house at 100 degrees. How can it be? The law does not change. Water boils at 100 degrees even in the Antarctic, where this sub-zero temperatures of 30 degrees, water still boils at 100 degrees. It just cannot be different. So when we say, oh yeah, that's ridiculous. In the same way, truth cannot be different. But yeah, it has different ways of expression through different philosophies and philosophers, thinkers, rishis, munis, paigambar, सब अलग भाषा अलग होगी. Okay. But what is the problem for which every single religion or paigambar or rishi or mahatma has to take, or like Krishna has taken birth, why do they take birth? Why do they have to come? What is the problem? Problem is millennia old. J. Krishnamurti used to say the problem of the mind is as old as millennia. You may have progressed scientifically and you have become extremely sophisticated technologically, and now you have artificial intelligence. A robo can speak with you and have a conversation with you. A robo. Okay, so you're technologically, you can land up on the moon. You can Jeff Bezos can take a 10-minute ride up there just to see what Earth looks like from 10,000 kilometers away. Great, lovely. What is the quality of the mind? It is still as primitive as it was thousands of years ago. What is the primitiveness of the mind? It is still capable of the same attachment, insecurity, envy, lust, passion, jealousy. It's millennia old. So if the problem is the same through millennia, the solution has to be the same through millennia. So there have been so many religions that have come and gone, and right now we have 3 or 4 major religions which are alive 10,000 years, and not 10,000, maybe even 100,000 years down the line, maybe the religions will not have, the current existing religions may not have the same name and form. There'll be other sects and other ways of, other names maybe, and other identities of these religious sects. But will truth change? That's ridiculous. Truth will not change. It will be the same, and the solution will be the same. And what is that solution? The solution is that every religion is saying that, look, there is only one infinite, the eternal, the Shashvat, the Sanatan. And you as a being, as a small device, as a small electronic device, you are Nashwar. My mobile is going to pack up in a few months because it has been overused and is growing old. But that doesn't mean that the SIM card, which I have put in there and has all the memory of some of my talks and dances or whatever, that memory will remain. I can take my SIM card, and that SIM card goes into my new mobile. And so my new mobile is my new birth, पुनर्जन्म, a new birth, और उसमें वो जो सिम कार्ड गया ना, वो मेमोरी का गया, that whatever I have practiced today, whatever I have learned today spiritually, not of worldly things, फिजिक्स केमिस्ट्री बायोलॉजी तो हमको फिर से पढ़ना ही पड़ेगा स्कूल में, फिर से ABCD से शुरू करना पड़ेगा, बट हमारा स्पिरिचुअल प्रोग्रेस जितना हुआ है, how closer I have got to understanding God, that will remain with me as my personality. And also the impressions of the things I like or dislike, like I may like literature or reading or cycling or sport or art. Those are impressions which go in my SIM card to the future. So if the problem is the same, the solution is the same, to tell them about that same infinite which goes with you life after life, till when? Till eternity. Till you find God, and that day you merge with God, because then you have no karma to collect and you have no more vasanas. Vasanas are impressions of unfulfilled desires from one life to the other, the whole bundle of vasanas passing on. It goes on till eternity. So this eternal truth is the same. That solution is for clearing up the mind, which is full of this worldly sansari attachments and insecurities and fears, and all this gives rise to kama, desire, kama, krodh, mad, lobha, moha, and jealousy and envy. All this is going to be cleared up only and only when the scriptures, any scripture, talks about the path. What is my method? How can I reach that infinite? I'm just a small little finite creature of flesh and bones. Yes, you are. But don't identify with that flesh and bones, because you are not Nashwar. That body is, that mind is. And therefore, what is the method? Because I can't see anything beyond my senses. And therefore, any scripture will tell you that there is a path you can follow. You can follow the path of karma, action, to clear that mind, cleanse the mind. When you do nishkam karma, selflessness. So karma yoga is just a method of moving from selfishness to selflessness. Or you can take the path of bhakti, like Sufis have taken, like Mirabai, all the bhakti movement of wonderful, they have become one with the God, as if the God is a lover, and they are just merging into that oneness. Again, it's a way of cleansing the mind, because the ego has surrendered. We are talking about the cleansing of the mind in both cases. Karma yoga, selflessness means no ego. Bhakti, I surrender completely. मैं हूँ क्या चीज, जैसे कबीर कहते हैं ना. So that is also surrender, and bhakti yoga becomes the means to it. Or you can follow the path of meditation, dhyan yoga. These are only paths. Idea is to cleanse the mind and keep it so clear, so clean, and the glass gleaming white, so that when the sun comes up, it reflects it completely as if the sun is me. Sometimes कभी-कभी हम जब शीशे में देखते हैं, दूर किसी बिल्डिंग में शीशे पर सूरज की किरण नहीं, पूरा सूरज रिफ्लेक्ट करता हुआ होता है, तो पता नहीं चलता कि उस शीशे पर सूरज है या क्या असली सूरज आकाश में है. It's so clear. In the same way, when the mind is cleansed completely of this false ahamkar and ego and attachment, or ye sansar and this tam jham, that cleansing will make it so clear that consciousness, that God, that divinity which is already within us and everywhere, will reflect in us as divinity. That means you have merged. No difference between the reflection and you. You are a reflection as long as you are a jiva. Jiva means holding this body. So even as you are living, you can reflect consciousness or reflect God as if you are one with God. अरे वाह, ऐसा भी होता है? हाँ, you can check it out. It has happened to Christ and Muhammad and Buddha and Mahavir. These are also people, and Vivekanand. They could go into samadhi and merge completely with that oneness, and they were living creatures. तो ये तो हमको सिर्फ प्रूफ मिलता है, एक इंस्पिरेशन मिलता है. हमारी जर्नी अगर शुरू हो जाए तो वहाँ तक पहुँच सकती है थ्रू मेनी लाइफ टाइम्स. एंड द लास्ट पाथ इज ज्ञान. ज्ञान यानी नॉट द नॉलेज ऑफ द सब्जेक्ट्स ऑफ द वर्ल्ड, क्योंकि हमको तो कोई ज्ञान नहीं है कि इस दुनिया में कितने देश हैं, भाई उसके कैपिटल्स के नाम क्या हैं और उन सब के नेशनल गेम्स क्या हैं, देश के हर देश में प्रेसिडेंट कौन है. आई हैव नो आइडिया ऑफ पॉलिटिक्स एंड सोशियोलॉजी एंड बॉटनी एंड फिजिक्स. ओके, ठीक है. We are not talking of external knowledge as a gyan. Gyan is only one, and that is knowledge of yourself. That subjective knowledge of who am I is the only gyan which Gita says will take you to liberation, to freedom. Liberation. Liberation from what? From your own karma bandhan. This is only an introduction, but by and by, as we go into chapter 3-4, you will know how karma is binding us. We are binding ourselves actually with ropes and saying, अरे मैं कर्म बंधन में बंध गया हूँ, liberate me please. अरे but the cage door is open. Just look, you can fly out. And so what is the purpose of these practices? The karma yoga, the path of love or bhakti or surrender, or the path of meditation, path of gyan. Practice is just to make you free, to make us free, to liberate us, because that helps us to let go. All these 4 practices which are coming up in Gita just help us to do one and only one thing: let go. Let go of what? Your possessions, your car, your Mercedes. No. You can keep them. It doesn't affect him in any way. Let go of the feeling that I am this limited, nashwar, petty jiva. I am not this temporary entity, and the ahankar which is attached to this jiva. I was born और उसमें हमने उस बॉडी में अटैच कर लिया अपने पूरी आयु और अपने उपलब्धियां and all our fame and name and रूप and रंग, सब उसमें आइडेंटिटी में अटैच कर लिया. बट ये तो आइडेंटिटी थी ही नहीं हमारी. सो लेट गो ऑफ दिस एज योर आइडेंटिटी. सेकेंडली, पाथ टू फ्रीडम. फ्रीडम इज आप और हम जिस रोग से रोगी है ना, उसका नाम है भव रोग. भव, दुनिया का रोग. व्हाट इज दैट रोग? दैट भव रोग actually seems to attack all of us. It's a feeling, subconscious feeling, that I am incomplete, I am unfulfilled, and therefore I have to do something, get somewhere, acquire something in order to feel that completeness. Gita and all other scriptures are only going to tell you one and only one thing, that after all your flapping around in this sansar, please come back to ground zero, where you will find कि अरे मैं तो यहीं खड़ा था. I, the ultimate truth, that consciousness was always here with me, always. I never left me. आपकी consciousness कभी आपको छोड़ के गई है? In second chapter, we are going to see, when I revise, that even in your deep sleep, consciousness never deserts you. वो एक ही चीज़ है, दोस्त भाग सकते हैं आपसे, लेकिन consciousness कभी दगा नहीं देगी. It never leaves you. It is the only constant. अरे मैं तो वही था. And that is who I am. When you come back to yourself and realize, oh, this is who I am, this is the only truth, फिर ये भाव रोग जो है ना दुनिया का, I have to do something, I have to get somewhere, I have to acquire something, then I will be complete or fulfilled. This drops from the mind. So the lessons of Gita that we are going to learn are that if you feel complete and fulfilled already from inside, then unlike Mahabharata, You will never take recourse to action which is unfair, petty, revengeful, try to show down anyone or hurt others, because you're already coming from a feeling of completeness, fulfillment and joy. उस completeness और fulfillment को joy भी कहा जाता है, because that is the nature of Anand. The nature of Anand is not to have Vikshep. Vikshep is agitation. So Anand is who you are, and then you don't take recourse to unfair practices. This is how Mahabharata started, with all kinds of insecurities and fears and malpractices, and people not being able to see the quality of their own mind. Well educated, well cultured people. We are not talking about riffraff. They are not able to see what was the subconscious urge or impulse of anger, envy, greed, which was operating in their minds. And because they couldn't watch it, they gave full rein to it, and we ended up with Mahabharata. So we are going to see some of these weaknesses. If Dhritarashtra cannot see, at least we should be able to see. All of you know Dhritarashtra had 3 or 4 problems. Attachment to his sons, because the first word he utters is Mamakam, mere sons. How are my sons doing on the battle, hey Sanjay? Mera, mera, mera. And I want the kingdom of Indraprastha and Hastinapur only for my sons. Why? Even the Pandavas are his own nephews, right? नहीं, nephews के लिए नहीं चाहिए भाई. I want for my attachment is a cancer. Sense of inferiority. किसी commentator ने कहा है कि हो सकता है कि because he was blind, and if we have any kind of setback in our lives, we start feeling a sense of inferiority and a sense of unworthiness, कि अरे मैं तो दुनिया के नज़रों में थोड़ा unworthy हूँ. ऐसे लोग, they can be very very warmongering and aggressive, and you have noticed it. जो लोग ने corporates में काम किया हुआ है, corporates क्या, I think families में भी होता होगा. The thing is that if you feel a sense of inferiority, you start getting more and more aggressive just to pretend to be higher than the other. It's not necessary. Dhritarashtra didn't have to prove anything to anyone. He was already the king. If he had only allowed the Pandavas to have their fair share of Indraprastha, well, okay. So he is blinded outside as well as inside. He cannot see. He is blinded to his own misgivings. Now, self-worth. When we have a sense of self-worth, we feel complete inside. That's when we have inner strength. When we have inner strength, we are able to reach out to people and treat them with fairness. Otherwise, we don't. Why am I taking the characters of Mahabharata? Because it is the characters, ये शख्सियत जिसकी बात हुई थी. एक एक शख्सियत जो बनती है वो अपने एक्शन से बनती है, और वो एक्शंस आते हैं उनके इरादों से, और वो इरादे आते हैं एक ख्याल से. एक ख्याल मन में आया कि मुझे इंद्रप्रस्थ चाहिए. Why? Because Yudhishthir and Pandavas had created that kingdom into a magnificent, resplendent kingdom, much better than Hastinapur. And therefore, the jealousy and competitiveness. एक ख्याल turns into a character personality, and that personality can unleash all the violence in the world. I don't have to tell anyone about Hitler, who was smarting under the defeat of the Germans in the First World War, and he felt that it was a humility, और उसके मन में आ गया कि I have to avenge this humility. बस he set, and that one thought spiraled into action, and spiraled into Second World War, and spiraled into 7 million deaths of the Jews. So I'm not even talking about 6,000 years back. Please understand, I'm talking about the previous 19th century. So when J. Krishnamurti says that the mind, the quality of the mind has not changed over millennia, thousands of years, he is right. So we have a Duryodhan in all the centuries. So what happens to these people who have a slight setback in life, emotional या physical या financial, कि अरे मेरे पास पैसा नहीं है, इनके पास बहुत है. उनको अगर ऐसा परसेप्शन हो गया ना कि मेरा लाइफ में एक थोड़ा सेटबैक है, वो परसेप्शन को they start doing all kinds of things to feel good. उनको feel good नहीं होता है, तो in order to feel good about themselves, अपना self worth वो attach करने लगते हैं outer things में. Outer things anyway are nashwar. Outer things में यानी I am going to acquire a bungalow, I am going to acquire a good job and a new car, and I am going to have more acquisitions, more social circles. FB पर हमारे 5,000 followers होने चाहिए, new clothes, new jewelry, and more social approval, and they are into a mad race to feel that sense of self-worth, which they feel they are missing. ये भी उनकी मन की धारणा ही है. इट्स ओनली अ नोशन, किसी और ने नहीं कहा है, या कहा भी होगा तो इट्स सोसाइटीज प्रॉब्लम. दैट इज अ वेरी डेंजरस थिंग. सो साइकोलॉजिकली वी हैव टू टेक अप द कैरेक्टर्स ऑफ महाभारत टू सी व्हाई इज देयर sorrow in the world. It is because it's created in the minds of all the characters who are playing out around you right now in the modern world. So the war is not something out there, the war is within us. हमारे मन के अंदर भी हम all black and white नहीं है कि because Dhritarashtra is not totally can't be painted in dark colors, because later on he had given Yudhishthir a boon when he had been a silent spectator to the attempted disrobing of Draupadi, which is shameful for a king to be sitting there without intervening. He sat through it, and later he was riddled with guilt. And he said, okay, Yudhishthir, he said to Draupadi, I will give you 5 boons. I'm so sorry about what happened to you. The sons tried to disrobe you in public. He came later on and he said, Dhritarashtra, nobody is all black. And then she asked for the liberation of her husbands. So he granted a boon. What does it mean? It means that within ourselves, there is a battle of Mahabharata going on between the Asuri Pravritti, it will come later on in one of the later chapters of Gita, and the Daivi Pravritti. That means we have the seeds of everything, of revenge and forgiveness, of moderation as well as indulgence, of hatred as well as love. We have the seeds of everything, of reaction and understanding. How well are we able to practice and keep surfacing the Daivi Pravritti, the divine qualities, and keep aware and alert about the devilish Pravritti in our own internal Mahabharat is the test of our true character. And it is also the test of our true spiritual evolution. So when we say I am evolving spiritually, we are only moving step by step towards God by destroying all the Asuri or the devilish or the dark pravritti which is there. Believe me, it's there. How do you know? क्योंकि जब सब कुछ ठीक ठाक चलता रहता है और कोई प्रोवोकेशन नहीं है, सब अच्छे दोस्त हैं, लव फ्रेंडशिप सब कुछ हो रहा है, you don't even know. But with the slightest provocation in any form, somebody just hits out unfairly, and then you watch your reaction. You're in anger and resentment and feeling a sense of victimhood. मुझे victim बना दिया. All that comes to the surface. Spiritual quality is to, because we are human beings, it will come up, to have it again, overpower it with your Daivi Pravritti. To overpower it within a day or two, within hours, within seconds. मतलब जितना जल्दी हो सकता है, मतलब उतना spiritually evolved हैं कि हम कितनी जल्दी forgive करके आगे बढ़ सकते हैं. Because all that is happening in the world, all the interactions that are happening in the world are not at all, this story is not between you and your friends or lovers or spouses or children. No relationship. This is only, the whole story of mankind is the relationship between you and God. God meaning the ultimate truth. Finally आपको वहीं पहुंचना है. चाहे आप कितने ही जन्म गंवा दें, बेकार कर दें, tragically destroy कर दें, waste कर दें दुनिया की सांसारी relationships में, ठीक है, waste कर दीजिए, लेकिन the whole story at the end is only the story between you and God, between me and God, between all of us, and finding that ultimate truth. चाहे जितने जन्म लग जाएं. So all the things which are in the outer world, we try and acquire it कि मुझे ये मिल जाएगा तो शायद मुझे लोगों से थोड़ा सम्मान मिलेगा. And to try and cover up our sense of unworthiness, we do all these things, acquire this and that. अब ये acquisitions जो आप possess कर रहे हैं, ये तो वैसे भी आनी जानी चीज है, आगमा पा अनित्याह, सब अनित्य है, तो उससे फायदा क्या हुआ? खाली टाइम वेस्ट हुआ. एट द एंड ऑफ द जर्नी नो वन इज रियली बॉदर्ड कि नो वन इज रियली बॉदर्ड कि आपका कितना सम्मान है, आपके पास कितने पोजेशंस हैं, आप कितने प्रतिष्ठित हैं. नो वन रियली केयर्स. हाँ, एक बार देख लेंगे फेसबुक पर, अरे वाह, थम्स अप दे देंगे या वाओ कह देंगे, then they forget about you. They won't even remember कि आप, अच्छा बहुत दिन बाद याद आएगी. तो everything is fleeting and passing so quickly. Do not hang on to this sansar. The lesson number 2 from Gita. This entire Gita was based on one mistake, and that is envy. Why do we envy? जो चीज हमारे पास नहीं है और दूसरे के पास है और वो ही मुझे चाहिए, उसको envy कहते हैं. Now this is a very toxic emotion. It's like toxic. It's like having a septic in the tooth. और हमारे टूथ में जब सेप्टिक हो जाता है तो हम जो भी खाना खाते हैं उसके साथ we are ingesting poison. Envy poisons your own mind. It's a toxicity and as well as of course destroys in the outer world. जो महाभारत में हुआ, तो दुर्योधन envy कि हस्तिनापुर से ज्यादा शानदार इंद्रप्रस्थ कैसे हो गया. ये हो गया क्योंकि युधिष्ठिर is a man of character and ability and finesse and excellence. आप भी कंपटीशन मत करो, आप उनको देख के इंस्पिरेशन लो ना भाई. तो कंपटीशन इज मेंट फॉर टेकिंग इंस्पिरेशन फ्रॉम अदर्स एंड सेइंग मैं भी करूंगा, and not to pull them down. This is the thing you have seen every day. It's happening in you, around you, in the corporate world, in your workspace, within the families. It's still alive. No matter how many thousands of years we may read scriptures, this canker of envy is something which is not watched or seen or observed by the experiencer, who is me, the jiva, and that experiencer then creates sorrow for himself and for the outer world. To see it is to heal it. एक बार दिख जाए ना कि अरे मैं envy में पड़ रहा हूँ, you can heal it. You can heal what you see. Lesson number 3. So, lesson number 3 वही है जो अभी बताया. Become aware of your insecurities. Become aware of your subconscious urges and hidden emotions and impulses which are driving you. Envy and jealousy is driving me and I don't even know it. तो फिर हम तो blind चल रहे हैं ना. तो हमारा chariot is being pulled by blind horses in the battle. What are all the धृतराष्ट्र का fear था, लेकिन fear पर I just want to have a quick look at what kind of fears we have. Normally, of course, we have the fear of natural disasters and physical pain and stuff like that, and also a fear of water or fire or heights or anything. This simply needs a deconditioning of the mind. अपने mind को decondition कर लो किसी तरह. But there is a deeper psychological fear, and that is the fear of dishonor or death or defeat or failure or inferiority. तो कृष्णमूर्ति कहते थे, जे कृष्णमूर्ति, 19th century philosopher, वो कहते थे कि all these things that you are talking about, this insecurity, this envy, this jealousy, this anger, this krodh, he's saying forget it. Everything has the seed only in fear. Fear. तो लॉजिक उनका ये था कि when we fear dishonor and defeat and inferiority, मैं किसी से कम न हो जाऊं, ये डर के मारे all the other आसुरी प्रवृत्तिज or impurities follow. Watch the fear. And watching this fear, I'm not saying the Western world doesn't know about this. Even modern science, which is in the form of emotional intelligence or emotional quotient. आपने सुना होगा, Daniel Goleman is the 20th century philosopher. उन्होंने Daniel Goleman में emotional quotient पर बहुत सारी किताबें लिखी हैं. It is the same thing. Emotional quotient means, am I aware of the movement of my own mind? If not, then you are driving your car blind. And it is bound to crash, and it will crash and cause sorrow in the world. So the battlefield of Mahabharata is extremely symbolic. We may look at it as a symbolism of a battle between Daivi and Asuri Pravritti, that you can call them Asura and Dev, whatever. Okay. Now, if this is the battle between Dharma and Adharma, this for Arjun is not a battle for power, prestige and kingdom. You know that. It is a power battle only for Duryodhan. So then the entire battle, if Arjun is not even battling for power, prestige, kingdom and honor, then what is he fighting for? Simple, dharma kshetra mein dharma ka yudh hoga. He is fighting for justice and dharma. What is dharma? Dharma, of course, has many simple translations also, like the duty that you have been given. In this world, we have a certain position which we have acquired, and we have to complete that duty without cavilling, without complaining. That's one definition of duty. And Arjun has been given the duty of a warrior, and he has to complete it. Other definitions of dharma will come later on. They are more philosophical and spiritual in nature. I won't go into that. But basically, even if you see the surface level of adharma, ये धर्म और अधर्म के युद्ध में अधर्म कैसे था? दुर्योधन का अधर्म था कि you know that Duryodhan was a master in गदा युद्ध. गदा युद्ध means the master of mace. गदा होता है ना, mace. उसके warfare में he was the indefeatable. And yet he was jealous of Bhim. अरे भाई क्यों? You are the master. No, even Bhim can't be defeated by you. But jealousy is not something you just cannot control. And adharm, cunning. He was very cunning. He tried to burn down, by telling all kinds of lies, he tried to burn down the house of the Pandavas. Of course, they escaped in the night. And also he tried to poison Bhim, but he was too strong to die from poison. All this cunning and manipulation, and why is it needed? Because you fear something. डर एक बैठा हुआ है सबकॉन्शियसली कि मेरे आगे कोई निकल ना जाए, मुझसे बेहतर ना हो जाए, मुझे दुनिया नीचा ना दिखाए, मुझे कोई कम ना समझे. What is this? Is the world judging you, or are you not strong enough to have your own self-worth? So this Duryodhan was also of course greedy कि मुझे इंद्रप्रस्थ चाहिए. And so he became a power monger and a war monger for no reason. But you know the greatest adharma of Duryodhan? When he entered the field, it is a custom in the ancient Indian practices that when you start any activity, you have to first bow to the teacher, the guru, the god, and then you do whatever you are doing. So you have seen many of our videos and all, if we are performing a dance at the temple, or if we are singing a song, or maybe just giving a speech. When they come up on stage, first of all they bow to the picture of a teacher if the teacher is not alive, and then the Bhagwan, and then they light the lamp, and then they begin the activity. So this was an ancient custom. Duryodhan went straight to the field with his arrogance, and he said, oh, now I have had a good idea about what the field is. And he had a bigger army than the Kauravas, by the way. What happened? His own teacher, Bhishma Pitama, his own grandfather, Bhishma Pitama is there, his own teacher, Dronacharya is there. Shouldn't he be bowing to them? Adharma. Yudhishthira, on the other hand, before he started the battle, he's the eldest son of from the Pandava side. You know what he did? He went, because they are all in the same family actually, so family can't be divided. So he went over to Bhishma and he bowed. Blessings chahiye bhai. Bhishma Pitama, what can he say? What did he say? Vijayi Bhava, may you win the battle. Bhishma Pitama is standing on the side of the Kauravas. And that too will come now later on. Why? Why should a good man stand for adharma? But that also happens in life. Life is not a very fair battleground. You will see that, you've seen it already in your life. Bhishma Pitama standing on the Kaurava side, Yudhishthira comes from the Pandava side, bows to him for blessings, and he said, Vijayi Bhava, may you win. Duryodhan is saying, hey, ye kya hua? And Yudhishthira then went over naturally and bowed to his teacher Dronacharya and to his other teacher Kripacharya. Dronacharya was the teacher for the warfare and Kripacharya for the philosophy of life, etc. So Kripacharya, on dono ko unhone jab, when he prostrated, he got the blessings from both. Vijayi Bhava. युधिष्ठिर का संस्कार देखिए कि बैटल में भी अपना संस्कार नहीं भूल रही, क्रॉसिंग ओवर टू द अदर साइड जस्ट टू टेक द ब्लेसिंग्स. दुर्योधन, उसमें क्या कमी है दुर्योधन में? ही इज गॉट एवरीथिंग. हमारे पास भी सब कुछ होते हुए भी एक ग्रीड और एक एरोगेंस और एक जेलिसी और एनवी छोड़ता नहीं है. ये नहीं कि दुर्योधन वॉज रैप्ड इन पॉवर्टी और उनको कोई कमी थी. ही वॉज वन ऑफ द बेस्ट वॉरियर्स. तो भी इतना कमी क्यों महसूस होती है? ये एक इट्स अ सेंस ऑफ लैक. आई लैक दिस, आई लैक दैट, और आई वॉन्ट दैट. ये दुर्योधन की सबसे बड़ी कमी है, सबसे बड़ा अधर्म है. सो अधर्म इज द सीड ऑफ अधर्म इज वॉट we see happening in the characters over here. And he was well educated because the teachers are the same. कृपाचार्य ने फिलॉसफी उसको कम नहीं समझाई होगी दुर्योधन को, उनको, लेकिन फिर भी वो खड़े होके कह रहे हैं जानामि धर्मम, आई नो व्हाट इज धर्म, न च मे प्रवृत्ति, आई डोंट हैव एन इंक्लिनेशन फॉर इट, सॉरी आई डोंट फील इंक्लाइंड, आई नो व्हाट इज धर्म. एंड जानामि अधर्मम न च मे निवृत्ति, आई नो व्हाट इज अधर्म, ये दुर्योधन ने कहा था. बट सॉरी, आई जस्ट कैनॉट रेजिस्ट my temptation for getting this kingdom by hook or by crook. So he has given way to his impulses and his urges and his desires, just like animals do. Animals are the creatures who cannot have a moment of reflection and restraint, because the moment there is an urge or an impulse that overtakes them, they take action. So whether it's lust or anger or snatching food or getting into a battle, animal pravritti is this. Janami adharmam na chame nivritti is belongs to the animal kingdom. But anyway, Duryodhan, a man of such stature, and he is behaving like this. That is the definition of adharma. What about life in the corporate world? Have you seen the Duryodhans and the Dhritarashtras? Yes. And there will be Bhishma Pitama's, some big boss sitting over there and saying, sorry yaar, I have given my word to him, I cannot really give you your due. He will still say, Bhishma had done that. Bhishma Pitama said, I have given my promise that to Dhritarashtra, I will always battle for you. एक promise के लिए उन्होंने अधर्म का side लिया है. शास्त्र कहते हैं that when you are in a dilemma between two dharma, हमारा धर्म है that I should keep my promise, मेरा ये भी धर्म है कि मैं अपने kingdom को अधर्म से बचाऊं, that is as a warrior. दोनों धर्म के बीच में मैं कौन सा चूज करूंगा? The one which benefits the maximum number of people. परोपकार, परधर्म, जिससे सबसे ज्यादा होता, मैं वो चूज करूंगा. भीष्म पितामह could have broken his small little word and promise and saying, sorry, I will stand with the Pandavas because they are standing for dharma. Bhishma did not break that promise. ऐसे हर corporate में मिलेंगे big bosses who are watching what is going on. In their office they can see that people are destroying each other's chances. They are taking credit from others. They are indulging in flattery. Bribery की तो भूल ही जाओ. They are indulging in bribery. Why? Not bribery, in kind of flattery and hypocrisy and pretense and lying about others, their colleagues, and just to go ahead. Why? Because they have an ambition and a greed to move ahead. We see it every day, even today. So please don't tell me that Gita is 6,000 years old and therefore it has no relevance. As long as the human mind remains as primitive as it was millennia ago, the scriptures will have relevance till that time. The worst part of the story is that this greed and ambition with which these people are moving ahead and making great strides in the corporate world, this ambition and greed is actually lauded by the neighbors and people and society with prizes and wah and all that. So ambition, greed is being actually appreciated. So even our youngsters are being misled, and therefore they think that yes, maybe I can achieve all this. How does it matter if I step onto the toes of my friends and colleagues in the office, and a little bit of pretense and lying and a little bit of credit taking, और यहाँ थोड़ी बहुत lying and चोरी कर लो, चोरी यानी ideas, और हम आगे बढ़ जाएंगे. This kind of hankering for riches happens to the poor. Poor also wants riches. The rich also want riches, to be richer. So it is never ending actually. So adharm, सब कैरेक्टर्स को देखें तो शकुनी वॉज द ब्रदर ऑफ गांधारी द वाइफ ऑफ धृतराष्ट्र, द ब्लाइंड मैन, द ब्लाइंड किंग. और ये गांधारी के ब्रदर, उनको क्या प्रॉब्लम था भाई? व्हाई डिड ही हैव टू चीट सो मच इन द गेम ऑफ डाइस? His problem was worse than everybody else because he harbored a secret feeling of revenge कि मैं किसको, पांडवास को डिस्ट्रॉय करूंगा, कौरवास को डिस्ट्रॉय करूंगा. शकुनी wanted to destroy both. Can you believe it? ऐसे भी लोग होते हैं. Why? Because he had said कि मेरी बहन द्रौपदी को, गांधारी को आपने एक अंधे आदमी से शादी क्यों की? How did you put her in this situation? I am going to avenge the fate of my sister Gandhari. Gandhari comes from the word Gandhar, Afghanistan mein. She was from Afghanistan. So, Shakuni का अलग ही story है. He is pretending to be on the side of the Kauravas and Dhritarashtra doesn't even know that this deceit, he wants to destroy everyone. And of course, finally, Shakuni ended up in Mahabharata, so the Kauravas were completely destroyed. So all this is happening behind the scenes. We have to understand human nature because human nature is who we are. Unless we understand our nature, we are not going to go below the surface of all these subconscious pulls and pushes of urges and impulses and asuri pravritti and find that God that we are looking for. That God we cannot find if we sit for 5 minutes for prayer in the morning, 10 minutes for aarti in the evening, or offering sajda or any kind of prayer. Oh, no. It needs much more of scrubbing of the human mind. And that scrubbing will happen in when Bhagwan says, yes, yes, I understand Arjun. आप कर्म योग सिखाएंगे तब स्क्रबिंग होगी दिमाग की, भक्ति योग में होगी, ध्यान योग में होगी, अभी तो सिर्फ ज्ञान समझा रहे हैं. सो डोंट वरी, स्क्रबिंग होगी. एंड या इट नीड्स अ हेवियर इंस्ट्रूमेंट बिकॉज इट्स एनक्रस्टेड. अपने मन में हजारों लाइव्स के द्वारा ये एनक्रस्टेड फीलिंग्स हो गई हैं. दीज आर नॉट न्यू. शकुनीज और दुर्योधन एंड आवर फीलिंग्स ऑफ एनवी, जेलसी, काम, क्रोध, मद, लोभ, मोह, दे आर नॉट न्यू. But we have to find new instruments to cleanse them. Shantanu, acha, I said I will talk about Shantanu, but that's an older story, a few hundred years behind, and I'm running out of time, so I'm going to talk about the symbolism of the chariot. अब ये chariot सामने आ गया, and Arjun said to Krishna, take me to the middle of the battlefield. I want to have a look. And you know what Krishna did? He took him right in front of Bhishma and Drona. And suddenly Arjun was taken aback and said, no, I'm trembling to raise my weapon against Bhishma, my grandfather, and Drona, my teacher, Dronacharya. I cannot lift my weapon. If Krishna wanted, he could have taken the chariot right in front of Duryodhan, that aggressive cousin of Arjun. Or he could have taken it right in front of, who else was there? Who the others were fighting? Okay, so he could have taken it towards Duryodhan, but he did not. Why? What is Krishna's game? Krishna very often puts us in situations where our weakness will come up to test you and to make you better. Because the weakness of Arjun was attachment to his cousins and his uncles and his grandsire Bhishma and his teachers, and he knew his weakness of attachment and he said, ये attachment निकालना होगा अर्जुन, तो चलो मैं अपने मन में सोच लेता हूँ, अब ये weakness में ही उसको डाल देते हैं, उनको, अर्जुन को, और फिर गीता will begin and the whole sermon, the whole Gita will talk only and only about detachment, because detachment is the only answer to all the problems of the self and of the jiva and the jagat, of the sansar as well as the individual. Detachment. The whole Gita is about detaching. How to do it? That is the whole story of Gita. So we are going to get into it. And if I may take a couple of minutes, because in Kathopanishad there's a beautiful analogy given about the chariots. The chariot is a symbol where the 4 horses that are leading Arjun's chariot, they stand for the 4 methods. कुछ लोग ये भी कहते हैं कि 5 horses थे अर्जुन के, और वो 5 horses इंद्रियां हैं, हमारी इंद्रियां. Yes, I think that's also correct. इंद्रिया यानी कि हमारी 5 इंद्रिया जो देखने की, सूंघने की और स्पर्श करने की और सुनने की शक्ति है, वो सब बाहरी है, वो बाहर भागी जा रही है हॉर्सेस की तरह। लेकिन उसके पीछे क्या है? रेन्स को क्या कहते हैं? आई डोंट नो व्हाट द रेन्स आर कॉल्ड, जिससे बंधा हुआ है, जिससे वो हॉर्सेस बंधे हुए हैं और वो हाथ में है, सारथी के हाथ में रेन्स। ओके, सो वो रेन्स है हमारा मन। द माइंड इज दैट विच कैन कंट्रोल द हॉर्सेस। इंद्रियां बाहर भागी जा रही हैं और वो रेन्स न तो ज्यादा टाइट होना चाहिए और न ज्यादा ढील देनी चाहिए। जरा सी ढील दिया कि इट गोज अमॉक into the sansar of chamak dhamak, it just goes wild like horses. So not to keep it too tight over, but जैसे हम एक नियंत्रण रखते हैं अपने इंद्रियों पर, वैसे रेन्स पर और हॉर्सेस पर रख सकते हैं। और जो चैरियटियर है, जो कृष्ण है चैरियटियर जो चला रहे हैं, वो है इंटेलेक्ट, हमारे मन का जो इंटेलेक्ट है। व्हाट शुड वी यूज दैट इंटेलेक्ट फॉर? ये इंटेलेक्ट हम किस लिए यूज कर रहे हैं? दुनिया में आगे बढ़ने के लिए, ये चीज एक्वायर करने के लिए, थोड़ा बड़प्पन मिल जाए, थोड़ा सम्मान मिल जाए, थोड़ी प्रतिष्ठा मिल जाए, इसलिए अपना इंटेलेक्ट उसमें झोंके रहते हैं। अरे नहीं भाई, the intellect has been given to us so that we can use it for becoming sattvic, to practice satyam, to practice jnanam, to find that knowledge. Without intellect I can't find it, right? It's beyond intellect. I know the consciousness is beyond intellect, but I need the intellect to climb up to that level. So it is meant for reflection, mananam, कि ये दुनिया है क्या, मैं ये किस पर्पस के लिए आया हूँ, और मुझे ये सत्य कहाँ मिलेगा। मननम, रिफ्लेक्शन, मैं कर क्या रहा हूँ, क्या मैं इस काम क्रोध मद लोभ मोह में कीचड़ में पड़ा हुआ हूँ। आप अपना रिफ्लेक्ट ही कर सकते हैं और कोई दूसरा नहीं बताएगा। मननम, दिस इंटेलेक्ट इज मेंट फॉर रिफ्लेक्शन, फॉर स्टडी, स्वाध्याय, and for danam, to have a sense of selflessness and to offer your time or service or money or wealth or whatever. So satyam, danam, jnanam and mananam. वैसे तो देखें तो आपका true nature is only satyam, jnanam, anantam. You are only truth and consciousness, jnanam, and anantam, infinite. But all that comes in chapter 2, so don't worry. And the chariot, the body of the chariot is your body. So you have to keep your body in a very good condition. Otherwise वो चलेगा कैसे दुनिया में? And therefore you have to have moderation and control and purity of food and exercise and sleep and trained senses, a trained mind. Fest, F-E-S-T, food, exercise, sleep, moderation in sleep, regular sleep and trained senses. Fest, अगर फेस्ट में रहेगा आपका बॉडी, ओनली देन इट इज गोइंग टू लीड यू टू दैट अल्टीमेट ट्रूथ। अगर हमारा बॉडी सिक है, आई कैन ओनली थिंक ऑफ द सिकनेस। आप फोन उठाइए, आप देखिए कितने लोग सिर्फ अपनी सिकनेस की बातें कर रहे होते हैं। अरे आज ये हो गया, अरे आज वो हो गया, अरे अब मेरे पेट में हो रहा है, दिमाग में हो रहा है। दिमाग मीन्स मेंटल सिकनेस। क्यों इतना बात करते हैं एक स्थूल ग्रॉस मैटर के बारे में? क्योंकि हमारा मन वो ग्रॉस में ही विचरता है। टू गो बियॉन्ड द ग्रॉस, द स्थूल, टू द सटल, टू द सूक्ष्म, यू नीड टू लिफ्ट योर सेल्फ अबव दैट। फॉर दैट कीप योर, कहीं दर्द या दुख होता होगा बॉडी में तो मन वहीं जाएगा। सो कीप इट इन गुड कंडीशन बिकॉज इट इज अ प्री रेक्विजिट फॉर योर ओन एवोल्यूशन, नॉट फॉर यू टू हैव फैंटास्टिक डीपीज। But of course DPs are also nice, but basically the fitness of the body and the beauty of the body and that tej and that vigor, we look for vigor, is for your own evolution. Because you need vigor for the ultimate truth. You need a lot of stamina, lot of swadhyay. कहाँ से आएगा अगर बॉडी सिक है और हम दिन भर सिकनेस की बात कर रहे हैं, यहाँ दर्द हो रहा है, वहाँ दर्द हो रहा है, तो यू गो अप। ये नहीं कि दर्द नहीं होता। रमन महर्षि एंड रामकृष्ण बोथ हैड कैंसर, दे जस्ट डिड नॉट गिव इट इम्पोर्टेंस, दैट्स ऑल। हाँ बॉडी है, हाँ दर्द हो रहा है। somebody came to रामकृष्ण, आप कैसे हैं? हाँ आई एम फाइन। he said but आपको पैर में दर्द नहीं हो रहा? he said oh the body, हाँ the body is in pain but I am fine. you asked me how I am. Ramakrishna, don't identify with the sthul, with the gross. That's not you, that's Nashwar. And therefore this chariot is the symbol of who we are. But finally, who is the owner of the chariot? द ओनर ऑफ द चैरियट इज हु यू आर. अगर आप स्वयं नहीं जानते हैं कि मेरी मंजिल कौन सी है, मैं चैरियट किस तरफ ले जाऊंगा, मैं तो संसार में घुसा चला जाऊंगा, संसार में किस ओर जाऊं, आई हैव नो डायरेक्शन. सो मेरा साधना, सेवा, सत्संग और भगवान मुझे यही चाहिए, तो मैं अपनी चैरियट को उस तरफ मोड़ूंगा. चैरियट मीन्स देह, मन, बुद्धि, अहंकार सब कुछ उस तरफ झोंक दूंगा, क्योंकि मुझे एक डायरेक्शन चाहिए. वो सिर्फ ओनर ही जानता है. आपका बॉडी या मन या बुद्धि तो आपको कहीं और ले चले जा रहे हैं. तो वो चैरियट आपको प्लेजर सीकिंग में ले जा सकता है. तो साधना, सेवा, सत्संग और भगवान की तरफ आपको अगर मंजिल पता हो ना, मंजिल, तो हाफ द बैटल इज वन. सो आई एम गोइंग टू कंटिन्यू टुमारो. I will just close chapter 1, I mean sort of conclude it with the main characters, वो जो हो गया है, and then a round up of chapter 2. Sorry for taking 5 minutes over time. Hari Om. Om Purnamada Purnamidam Purnat Purnamudachyate Purnasya Purnamadaya Purnamevavashishyate. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Hari Om. Shri Gurubhyo Namaha. Hari Om. Shri Krishnarpanamastu. Hari Om. Hari Om.